All right, good morning. Karen Scholl, Operations Section Chief Trainee on the Grizzly incident. Today is September 1st, and this is your operational briefing. We had no growth on the fire last night, and we're still sitting at 75% contained. Up in Division November, we had crews again in the H12 area, which is up No Name Creek, pretty high up No Name Creek. They're still working on trying to secure this edge. They did have the benefit of having a UAS or a drone operated by our folks off a windy point, looking down into the drainage and helping them identify hot spots, which they were then able to go and take care of. We have two crews up on top of that plateau, and they're working in both directions. And yesterday they were able to tie in from the west side of Grizzly Creek to the east side of No Name Creek. So we've got a hand line in there, and today what they're going to do is go in and widen that and make it more secure. Additionally, we're still continuing some work on a contingency line south of Windy Point. And we had some folks in there snagging, which means taking down the dangerous trees. So if we had to use that line, we could operate safely in that area. Up in Division Tango and Whiskey, the north side of the fire, crews continue to gain depth in their mop-up. Hopefully you were able to see the mop-up video that was produced yesterday. Showed the Yukon crew going in and doing what we call a grid, hand checking the ground to ensure that there is no hot spots. If you haven't seen that, take a look at it. It's really good and kind of shows you how much work goes into us trying to put this fire out. So they were working up in the north part of the fire. We're getting a chain in. A chain for us is 66 feet from the fire's edge. So anywhere between 1 to 2 chains in along the northern border has been accomplished, and they're continuing to gain depth. Over in Whiskey, the northeast side of the fire, we had excavators working to repair dozer lines that were put in as contingency lines. And they're also starting to repair some hand lines that were also contingency lines, and that all means just bringing back the cover back onto the dozer line or hand line. Down here in our Division X-Ray near the Bear Ranch and around the southeast part of the fire, crews were utilizing the infrared imagery that they received the night before to identify and go after hotspots. And so most of those hotspots are off the line, but we're certainly looking at anything within 100 to 200 feet of the line if it's accessible in order to go and put those out. So crews were working diligently on the southeast corner. Everything around Bear Ranch is still holding and looks really good there. Crews also continue to work from DP80 to the west and near Green Lake to the east, along the edge, but the edge is really difficult to determine just based on the fuels and the topography in there. But continuing to work and utilize the infrared imagery to assist them in their efforts. Down on our Division X-Ray, which is the southwest corner of the fire, Division Alpha on the southwest corner of the fire, again, crews are in here looking for hot spots, using the imagery, patrolling and mopping up. Inside the fire yesterday, we had a few isolated areas of heat that were burning themselves out, which is good. With the kind of increased temperature, the lower RH, and a lot of wind. However, we did have clouds over the fire area yesterday afternoon, so that brought up the humidity, and everything is holding in place and looking really good. Last night we had a night division. They're still out there. They're roaming around and patrolling and identifying and helping with any calls that come in. We are still aware of smokes that can be seen from the road in the interior, from the highway, in the interior of the fire area. So we're still quite aware of that, but all the eyes out there are helping us to identify and ensure that this fire doesn't get out of our control. So that's the end of today's operational briefing. Have a great day.